Now, WJC's Purple Playbook brought to you by M&T Bank.
And welcome in. This is Purple Playbook. I am Grace Grill in for Alex Blaze. And joining us, as always, is two-time Super Bowl champion Torrey Smith. It was not a happy Thanksgiving for the Ravens, who had their 5-game win streak snapped against the Bengals. A lot to break down with this one. Your main takeaways from last night?
It was a tough one. It's pretty simple when you watch this team play. Typically, when they take care of the ball, they win games. And this game is pretty confusing in terms of, one, you can very clearly point to turnovers being the reason why they lost. But the defense looked like it's continued to improve. That's a game that they probably should have lost by, felt like 30 points, right? Based on the situations the defense was put in. But so there were some positives to take away from it, but at the end of the day, you lose a little bit of leverage. This is the time of the year where their schedule doesn't get any easier. Mm-hmm. We all know divisional games, your stats don't matter, throw it out the window. It's about trying to close out the right way, and you get to see the Bengals again. You get to see the Steelers twice, and you have the opportunity to go and play the Green Bay Packers as well. So it's not going to be easy. However, everything is still in front for this team.
Well, yeah, that schedule looked a lot less scarier after going back to the Thanksgiving game. But the Ravens, they lose 32-14 to the Bengals. And this team knows they can't blame anyone but themselves. Here's John Harbaugh and Lamar Jackson after the game.
We did not play a winning football game, and that's what happens when you don't play winning football. So disappointed in that. We'll pull ourselves together and get ready for Pittsburgh coming in here. Everything we want to accomplish is still in front of us, and we'll go to work on the next game.
You got to go watch film, clean up what happened tonight, and just lock in because we got 2 divisional opponents. We got to see Cincinnati in 2 weeks. We got to see Steelers 10 days. Just got to lock in, man, be consistent, put points on the board like I've been saying.
Consistency. You keep hearing that word from everybody in that room. And this was the game that we thought, okay, maybe they could get right. We said that against the Browns, but the Browns, of course, have that defense in Myles Garrett. This was a Bengals defense that was giving up an average of 32-some points a game, and they couldn't even, manage 14.
And that's why it's the NFL, right? I say all the time, I don't care what the numbers say. If it's a divisional opponent, throw it out the window. I thought it was going to be more of a shootout because both teams have offenses that have the ability to put up points, but just like that, the defense, comes into play for Cincinnati. And when you go to look at it, even though the plays, let's talk about it. You have one turnover where Lamar simply just didn't protect the ball as well in the pocket. You have another one that is very controversial in terms of whether it was an incomplete pass or a fumble. But those are simple things that, and obviously have the interception, but these are things that hurt the team overall. So consistency is the main thing that you want to talk about because each and every time in the NFL, throw the numbers out of the window, right? Good teams show highlights, show flashes, right? You're searching for that consistency. Great teams do good things all the time, and that's what's been lacking. You see all the things that are possible when things are done right, but then also you see these ugly things that will really, those self-inflicted wounds that frustrate you more than anything. I always say that I would rather lose by 50 than to lose understanding that we beat ourselves in that kind of way. So, again, it's a lot. You have a long break, so you can work to get ready for the Steelers, but very frustrating performance.
Yeah, right off the top, they haven't committed 5 turnovers at home since in 18 years. So that's a lot when you think about it, especially in the Harbaugh era. But we do have sound on them talking about the turnovers after the game.
Just got to be consistent, Can't have turnovers, especially in any game, not just this game, but any game. Can't have turnovers, 2 fumbles, in the interception, tip interception. We got to be consistent. We put our defense on the field too much. Can't have that.
There's that word again, consistency. But when you look at this offense, you see Lamar come back, right? You thought that would maybe be the fix. And then they come out Miami. Doesn't look right, but you're giving it's his first game back. He has 4 touchdown passes. But then the last 3 games, Lamar hasn't thrown a touchdown in the last 3 games. He's had a couple interceptions in there, but this offense just has not looked in rhythm. And do you think that, contributes to the turnovers?
Oh, absolutely. I think being in sync definitely matters. And even if you go back to the week before the Thanksgiving game, there's an opportunity for DeAndre Hopkins he runs a great double move in the end zone, and Lamar simply misses him, right? There were a few plays that weren't made because his feet weren't set. He's not in rhythm like he typically has been or can be, right? Mm-hmm. I think that's the most important thing because he had some opportunities there And now he misses a throw early on, and now they're behind the sticks and playing behind. And it's a lot easier to convert 3rd and 3 than it is to convert 3rd and 9, right? And for this team, when they're on script and they're running the ball, which they started running the ball very well, it seemed like they got away from it a little bit in the second half or in the second quarter on. But, I mean, it all goes together. This team is at its best when it's balanced, right? It's not Lamar throwing the ball 40 times a game. It's not Derrick Henry running the ball 40 times a game. It's about balance. And right now, they haven't been executing at a level that's allowed them to really kind of find that balance.
I feel like this was the first game where the receivers were really heavily criticized and for not getting separation, which is not normally what we're talking about with receivers. What did you see from them?
Yeah, I mean, guys just didn't make the tough plays, right? There were opportunities there, but you got to make the tough ones. And again, I know what it's like. Been a part of some where they failed to get it done. I've been a part of plenty where you got it done, right? And in divisional games and times where it's clutch, that can be the difference because when your offense is struggling, that one big play changes the energy of everything. And I remember being in the huddle plenty of times where we're struggling, battling back and forth, and then boom, you catch a bomb over top. Now all of a sudden the run game is looking better. The offensive line is fired up, right? They're bullying people around. So you can't allow those opportunities to go because you can literally feel the air leave the stadium when you're not making those plays, or even when you have, tough pass interference calls like Zay Flowers catches a touchdown. They called him for having his arm extended, but I mean, they have a touchdown that Cincinnati scored, and the tight end's arm on Kyle Hamilton looked like go-go gadget the way he pushed them off. But the reality of it is that's just how the game goes, and you have to control what you can control and execute.
Well, let's stay on that Zay play just because you brought it up. What did you see on that? Did you think that was kind of like a fluke? Or, I mean, because we've seen Zay kind of have a couple of those this season. I'm not just like circling out last night's, but when you say when you're in the huddle too, like there's somebody that needs to rally the troops. And you look at past great Ravens teams. I heard somebody on talk radio, this morning talking about how there were not only coaches on the sidelines, but there were coaches on the field as well. Do you believe the Ravens have enough coaches on the field, player-wise, player-led leadership to get them out of these, slow starts?
Yeah, I think they do. I mean, this is a team that everyone wrote them off, a few games ago, right? Like, I'm old enough to remember that this team, like, people thought it was the greatest team ever before the season. And then about 5-6 games in, this is the worst team we've ever seen in our life. And then now, they get back. They were just leading the division a day ago, right? The Steelers lose this weekend. They're still leading the division, right? Like, you're exactly where you want to be competitively, but I think they have the leaders. One thing I do believe is overrated is the idea of just players needing to be these, like, cheerleaders, right? Love Ray Lewis to death, one of the greatest leaders of all time, and he does do a great job. He did do a great job of keeping guys balanced. Mm-hmm. But I always feel like if you need someone to tell you that, guys, let's get it together, when you're out there and it's your job to go win and competitively you want to go in, you shouldn't be playing the sport, right? I've never once been a part of a speech during the game where I'm like, you know what, now I'm ready to go. Like, no, I wanted to go before I got there. And I think they have guys that love the game. I think they have guys that want to go out there and compete. And they have the leadership to get in the structure. You just need confidence to come. Whether people believe it or want to believe it or not, these guys need confidence the same way your little youth leagues players need confidence. Have some successful plays. Watch how things steamroll for the better for this team.
Is that on? Who is that on? Is that on the quarterback?
That's on everyone, right? It's so simple because football, the one thing about football is everyone can do their job and I can mess up mine. Yeah. And it just derails everything, right? Or at the same time, you can make a spectacular play and save everyone, right? So it's really one of the things where you can't put anything to it. I'll go ahead and say the number one thing they have to do is be able to run the ball. When the Baltimore Ravens can run the ball, beautiful things happen for the team.
All right, we're going to talk about that and much more, especially Lamar Jackson, when we come back here on Purple Playbook. Keep it here.
This is the Purple Playbook, brought to you by M&T Bank. The winning prognosis, brought to you by LifeBridge Health. Care bravely.
And welcome back to Purple Playbook. I'm Grace Grill, joined by Super Bowl champion, two-time Super Bowl champion, Torrey Smith. We gotta talk about this quarterback situation we got here in Baltimore. Whether it's a situation or not, Lamar Jackson has taken a lot of heat. I mean, he's been injured. He's been dealing with that all season, but he just has not looked like himself. What is going on with him from your perspective?
I think Lamar is healthy. I think that's a narrative that people are trying to run with to kind of find an excuse for him. Mm-hmm. I think you saw his burst in terms of his hamstring looks perfectly fine to me. he's just a little off, right? And I think sometimes great players have their moments. And the key word that we've been hearing is consistency, and it hasn't been consistent. And his play hasn't been consistent, and his feet haven't been consistent. And I'm a firm believer in to whom much is given, much is expected. And so that's something that Lamar Jackson knows, and that's also something that Lamar Jackson is capable of fixing. Because you see the ability, right? This isn't a situation where, oh my gosh, Lamar Jackson has suddenly lost it. Like, people would be foolish to say that because turn on the film, right? That play, that throw to Zay Flowers on the sideline was a beautiful play. He made plenty of plays with his feet, getting the ball out of his hands, right? Like, he's very much Lamar Jackson, just about being consistent. And to me, again, it boils down to success. His feet are a part of the problem, like finding rhythm. He missed some open throws early. But I think the key to it is also being able to run the ball. Like when they consistently run the ball, Lamar's not put in situations where he typically makes those type of mistakes. I like to compare it to a basketball player or a basketball team. It's a lot easy to score a lot of points, and now you're hitting your three-pointers when you've been able to make layups and get to the free throw line, right? And right now for this team, those layups are hard to come by because they're not able to run the ball like they're supposed to. And those free throws are very hard to come by because it's like they're not even having an opportunity to really stick to it like they should. And now those big plays that we're used to, again, this was the number one offense in the league the first few weeks of the season, right? And it was because of the big plays that were able to happen. And that was without Derrick Henry running the way he should. This time of the year, everything has to come together. But again, the key and the secret ingredient is going to be to this running game getting going consistently so that everything else can fall into place.
All right, well, you haven't lost confidence in Lamar, and neither have his teammates. Here's Kyle Hamilton after the game talking about his quarterback.
The narrative, I think, could switch very easily just because he's a high-profile player and, like I said, two-time MVP, so people are quick to criticize and jump to conclusions. But, I mean, you have a tough 2-3 game stretch, and you don't really get any leeway there if you're Lamar Jackson. So he doesn't care about any of that. He's just trying to do his best for this team so we can win football games. And I know that. I see it on a daily basis, and I know he'll get it right. I'm not worried about that at all.
I think it's great to hear Kyle speak like that just because he's a leader on the opposite side of the ball and to know that they still have confidence in Lamar. But the reason why he is so, I think, heavily criticized more than others is because it is his legs that makes him so dynamic and different from every other quarterback in the league. You know, when he doesn't have it, how does that hurt or hinder this team?
I think it's just all about balance, right? I think, again, it's Lamar Jackson, right? Baltimore has a superstar here, right? If Tom Brady was in a slump where he didn't throw any touchdown passes for a few weeks, or Peyton Manning, or any of the greats, even Patrick Mahomes, like these guys are going to be criticized for it. I think that's what Lamar is dealing with. And the difference is when you're winning, typically it hides it, right? No one really kind of said anything the last couple of weeks because the team won. Now when you lose, and you turn the ball over, now all of a sudden it's what's going on with them, right? And so, it's just the process of doing business. But again, the same guy that is dealing with it, it's like a baseball player being in a slump. Like right now, he's just simply not playing well. And I think oftentimes we look for excuses, right? I think it's just about being in rhythm, and it takes everyone for that to happen. It's not just Lamar by himself. He needs an environment around him that's being consistent because, again, there were plenty of big plays that weren't made that could have helped him out that would have been able to get this team on track.
So many other factors, too. I mean, just look at the fact that he's in those 3-game stretch where he hasn't thrown a touchdown. He's also been sacked 9 times. He's been sacked the most in his career this year. So that hinders your play a little bit as well. We could go in forever about the O-line, but you did touch on the other thing that isn't helping Lamar's play, is that they can't get that run game going. And there was a period last night, Derrick Henry ripped off that 28-yard touchdown, but then it kind of felt like you're watching, you're like, where'd he go? Everybody's at home going, okay, is he hurt? No, he's on the sidelines, and then you kind of see him periodically. Your thoughts on just where Derrick Henry kind of went to?
Yeah, I have no idea. I think Derrick Henry, when you talk about his ability to run the ball, I think there were times this year where they were struggling as an offensive line, and he was really struggling. Derrick Henry is a guy that is at his best when he's not touched at the first level. And when I say first level, I mean by the defensive lineman. When he gets through clean and now he's up on the backers, that's when he's his best. And then also you have Keith Mitchell, a guy who was able to get into the end zone, but he's more explosive. Now he has the ability to make plays because he's a little bit more, but it's like a thunder and lightning type combination with Derrick Henry and and Keaton Mitchell. But for Derrick, he's a guy that also gets better with time, with reps. So if you plan on giving the ball to Derrick Henry 10 times a game, you're probably not going to see the best version of him unless he's ripping off long runs like it felt like he was every game last year. He's a guy that's going to have to get the ball about 15 times because he gets better as he goes on.
Yeah, I asked this question to Zay Flowers in the locker room last week, and Zay was very, very political about it or democratic about it. But when you have a team that has so many weapons, like we're talking about the guys they have running, all their receivers they have, their tight ends, and then you look at this offense that's kind of out of rhythm, I was like, well, is it a matter of like you have so many weapons that you're trying to get everybody their touches and you don't know how to do that and establish a cadence in the game?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like the only person that they're intentional about getting touches to is Zay, right? Like Zay, they do a pretty good job of getting Zay the ball, but everyone else, it seems like they fit within the scheme of the offense, and that's not a bad thing. Right, like I've been on 2 Super Bowl teams. Neither team had a 1,000-yard receiver, right? However, we did kind of know when the ball was going to come our way. So that I do think we knew when the ball was, we had our chances. But as a player, as a teammate, it might have been Anquan's Bolden game this game. The next game, it might be Jacoby's. Then it might be mine. Ray Rice might have 150. You don't know, right? And that's the kind of balance you have. And I think teammate and ego-wise, I think that's the kind of team they have. So guys aren't necessarily panicking with the touches, but I do think it is a concern for a guy like Derrick Henry, especially if it's not injury-related, because this is the AFC North. I don't know if y'all have noticed, but the weather changed, all right? It's getting cold outside. It's a little bit harder to throw it. You're going to have to run the ball. That's just what we know in terms of what it takes to win this division. So Derrick Henry is going to have to be involved more, and the simple way to do that is just to give it to him, right? And I get why. I'm not going to sit here and say, like, Todd Monken is an awful coordinator because he's done an excellent job, right? Regardless of where things stand now, since he's been there, this is still a top 5 offense in the league, period. And so for him, I think it's about trusting it but when you watch it, there's been on first and second down, when they have had opportunities to run it, it hasn't always been positive. And it's tough to play behind the sticks. So really it's about trust and continuing to get better, but they have to execute at a higher level.
All right, well, we got to take a quick break, but when we come back, we are playing Something or Nothing with some topics around the league.
This is the Purple Playbook, brought to you by M&T Bank. The Bottom Line, brought to you by M&T Bank.
All right, time for a little game of Something or Nothing. I'm going to throw out a topic to Torrey, and you can tell me if it's something or nothing. Burrow returns in Baltimore with a win. Is that something or nothing? Do the Bengals have a shot?
No, they don't. It's way too late for them. They'd have to win every single game, and their defense still isn't good. So I don't think they have enough to truly turn it all the way around.
All right, second topic. Chiefs currently out of the playoff picture. They lose a big one on Thanksgiving to Dallas. What do you make of that?
I don't care what happens with the Kansas City Chiefs until all the games are played in the regular season. They're always in it. They've earned that right. They have the coaching. They have the leadership. They have the talent. There's no way that they will miss the playoffs.
What is it about that team?
They have the pedigree, right? You have the franchise quarterback. You have the leadership and guys who've been there. And when you have the talent in place, like on both sides of the ball, really, it gives you a great chance to be successful in this league.
All right, well, speaking of the team that they just beat, the Dallas Cowboys. Hottest team in the league, Torrey? Something or nothing. They've won 3 straight.
They are hot. They're the best team that's not going to make the playoffs. So I do think the Cowboys look a lot better. I hope for my family's sake and all of my friends that cheer for them, I really hope they don't make it because they have the most annoying fan base in the history of football, the Cowboys fans. So while it's fun, I love Dak Prescott, great guy. The Cowboys get on my nerves. So I'm going to say it's a bunch of nothing, and I hope they lose out.
You said, okay, Cowboys. I think me being from Pennsylvania, people would put that up with Philly. Who's worse, Cowboys or Phillies?
Oh, you know the Philly fans are near and dear to my heart. But Dallas fans are the most obnoxious people in the world. I don't care. There's people that have never been to Texas that represent like they have Dallas blood running through them. So I'll give it to the Dallas fans, top tier, most annoying people in the world.
It's America's team, Torrey, so they say.
Says who?
All right, but going back, speaking of the Bengals, I mean, they come into Baltimore, and it stinks for us here in Baltimore having a big game, especially with the Ravens. They are normally really, really good on primetime. But when you look at, just to wrap up last night's game, when you look at what happened, is this a one-off? Kyle Hamilton had a really good quote after the game where he just said, look, the offense is going to have those days. Us as the defense, we had plenty of those days at the start of the season. He's giving it to him as a day.
That's just how it goes. This offense will improve. Right, with Lamar Jackson at the quarterback and Todd Monken as offensive coordinator, this offense will improve, and I still believe this team will win the division.
Stands out.
Stands out. Just Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
As long as you have Lamar
Torrey's
Jackson.
a believer. I like
Lamar
it.
Jackson is one of the best football players to ever walk this earth, and he's not even past his prime. Right, like, and it's. I always say that Michael Vick was my favorite quarterback. Lamar Jackson is way better than him. Lamar Jackson is still the #1 rated by passing percentage in the league. Right, like he's a guy that has the ability to play at a high level, and I'm looking forward to watching him bounce back.
All right, we got to take
rating. Excuse me.
Passer rating. We got to take another quick break, but we'll come back and wrap up the show.
This is the Purple Playbook, brought to you by M&T Bank. Now, WJC's Purple Playbook, brought to you by M&T Bank.
And welcome back to Purple Playbook. Ravens don't get it done on Thanksgiving, but we are still thankful for football. It was a good Thanksgiving nonetheless. A lot to be thankful for. What about you this year? How was your Thanksgiving?
It was a great Thanksgiving. I had the opportunity to eat with my family. Everyone came up. My sisters, my mom came across the bridge. She stays in the Eastern Shore. So we were all able to have a good time together and had a full plate in. And I went on to the game and did a pregame show.
That's the good thing about playing at the later games. You can kind of get in Thanksgiving. All right. Well, that is going to do it for us. Thank you to Torrey Smith, as always. And we will see you back here next week.